The year is 2024, and you've made the commitment to do something that you've been avoiding for years, actually attempting to expand your gaming purview beyond the few series that you've been playing and replaying for as long as you can remember. It's not going to be easy. The gaming world is filled with games to play and experiences to be had. Is it finally time to give The Last of Us a shot? No, too much hype. No. Maybe start slow. Scrolling produces no results, but suddenly it dawns on you. Last month during a sale, you picked up both the Remothered games for like $5 a piece. You're not really familiar with these titles, but you always enjoyed the box art, and since that's how you make all of your decisions, you decide to pull the trigger. Perhaps it's time to see if a cool picture equates to a quality game. You boot up the title, right away noticing a nice long load screen. It's been a while, old friend. As you get into the game, you're smacked right in the face with some button prompts. A lot of button prompts. On the streets, we didn't have many button prompts, maybe one. Jump. The game starts up with an interview session between some dude and an old woman. They discuss some disease you're unfamiliar with, and you're immediately made aware of the microphone disparity between the two.
I'm old, Mr. Manny. My memory is not one of my strong points.
Well, for example, why do they call you Madam Svenska?
Are you familiar with names, Manny?
They have a nice girthy conversation about names, and most of it goes over your head before she flips on some music and you're treated to the opening credits. This section capping off with a cutscene of this younger woman puffing on a ciggy for warmth. With warmth fully achieved, you now get your first gameplay experience, which is movement. You get to do some movement, and it works a lot like movement. You know, aside from your character's pencil skirt, which defies not only the laws of physics, but more importantly, the laws of fashion. I'm pretty sure this would look a lot less like this, and a lot more like this. You're also introduced to a mechanic that I've always despised in games, which is the obnoxious breathing when your character runs for a few seconds. It's an assault on your ears, but if they're going for realism, it's fair. Somebody kill me! Kill me! Deep breaths aside, our heroine eventually reaches her destination, the home of a former patient at an institute she apparently works for, one Mr. Felton. Unfortunately, she's thwarted by the most dastardly of survival horror villains, a locked door. The stress of such an imposing foe calling for another smoke. But before the warming can truly begin, the foe is felled by another woman from inside the mansion.
You already told me at the intercom, and as I already told you, Mr. Felton is no longer a patient at the Sanitary Institute.
We also get a nice look at the caliber of facial animations we're working with here. It's really top-notch stuff. The caretaker, Gloria, offers to take us up to Mr. Felton because we've got something to tell him about his condition. She's also got a few choice words about our condition, mostly that we're stupid and lazy for our Siggy situation.
Money and time wasted. I have so much to do every day, I couldn't waste time with such a bad habit.
I think the mission is over, boys. Big Tobacco has finally met its match. She takes us up to Felton's office, telling us that he'll be with us shortly, and we finally get to do some snooping. There's a paper in the drawer about some kind of farm food contamination and a painting on the wall. Such a profound painting.
Do you believe in God, miss?
When Felton arrives in the room, they skip the small talk and head right into a theological discussion about the existence of God, really striking that subtle chord. Then, after a bit of conversation about this nondescript disease of his, Dr. Reed drops the bombshell. She's only interested in what happened to his daughter, a topic he's less keen about discussing. As a result, Felton winds up having Gloria toss Reed out on her pencil-skirted rump.
How do you even...
How do I do what?
How do you even sleep at night?
Not to be deterred by little things like being unwanted or breaking and entering laws, Reed lets herself into the mansion after Gloria steps out for the evening. This is where you really start to feel it. The freedom, the absolute unadulterated terror, and a tutorial. Text tutorial. The principles of show don't tell must have been lost on these people. Led by the sultry music that's being played by Felton's wife, you eventually find the only room that's unlocked in this house, the bedroom, to introduce yourself to... Dead body! Surprisingly, this B&E doesn't go quite as well as you'd expected, with a now very, very pantsless Felton comforting this corpse that he calls Jennifer, a name he's known to have used to reference his missing daughter in the past. You exit the wardrobe you were hiding in and look around a bit to find a key inside of Felton's robes from earlier. You miss those times. And you get the feeling that you're going to be missing them a lot more as you head into the hallway and see him still sporting his best Richard Traeger cosplay and ruining timeless children's classics.
Old MacDonald had a farm. E-I-E-I-O.
You head into Felton's office to find a projector with no film. You head into the dining area to find a clock that needs a key. You head to the refrigerator to find that you already drank the last of the Spyro-flavored G Fuel. Lesson learned. Struggles don't just pertain to video games. Eventually, you find your way into the kitchen, where you'll find a plunger, an oven, and an invisibility island. You use the plunger to unclog the bathtub from earlier to send a key down into the basement. Gotta love a game that comes with a side of plumbing simulation. Mario would be proud.
Mamma mia!
In the laundry room, Reed's spaghetti noodles can't lift the grate. So you strap a metal wire to a dumbwaiter and blow a fuse, attempting to MacGyver your way around pumping some iron. Not me, baby. We're still peak performance out here. Unfortunately for you, though, Reed didn't have the same New Year's dedication, so now you have to tangle with a nudist in the dark. Luckily, you cranked up the brightness so the video wouldn't be pitch black on YouTube, and the Kraken forgot to change his settings. You flip the generator back on and head back to finish the job. With the grate now open, you can grab the key and unlock the clock to get the battery for the projector. Sadly though, there's still no Spyro-flavored G Fuel in the fridge. Lesson learned, real life is meaner than any pantsless geriatric could ever be. With the battery now in place, you can play the film that we got from the oven. Yes, it makes sense. On the tape, Felton is being hypnotized to talk about his past, specifically about his father who thought he was a wimp and took a trip to Ethiopia. How this is related to Felton's disease from Egypt, you don't really know, but luckily he shows up to put you in a cattle lasso thing and give you some more confusing details. His marriage to his wife was arranged and loveless. His daughter Celeste ran away but came back, but didn't come back. Instead, she came back as another person named Jessica, and one night, he killed this Jessica in her sleep. Oh, and also, he still can't find his freaking pants. I do not need the visual of this pantsless old man gyrating over a desk. I do not need that. That is not something that I need. And yet, I still have it. Luckily, coat hangers weren't built to hold humans, so Reed manages to escape. Nope. Never mind, the painting that Felton was just praying to comes to life, a turn of events that it seems he wasn't even fully prepared for. You manage to evade both of these would-be stalkers and see a girl on the stairway. She runs away and you find a tall pull cord leading to the attic. The same alluring music from before comes back on, leading you to the bedroom with the corpse, but this time...
No!
Dead body! Thoroughly flummoxed, you find an umbrella to reach the pull cord and head into the attic. It's filled with mannequins. Who the hell needs this many mannequins? Wasn't this guy a farmer? What did he rob and abandon Macy's? Regardless, you find a photo that has the name Celeste scratched out and on the back is replaced with the name Jennifer. Speak of the devil. And my lord, is this devil tall. She does the thing where she stands over your shoulder and then disappears, and guess where she goes. Just take a guess. Into the mannequins, of course. One heart attack later and you're running from your life from Samara on stilts. Fortunately, you make it back to the ladder, but unfortunately, you've got the dexterity of a turtle and fall down, knocking yourself unconscious. When you come to, you decide to watch a bit of television. Hi there, I'm John from Mannequins Plus, and I'm here today to tell you about our fantastic deals on fake humans. Have you ever looked at the corner of a room and thought, damn it, I'm lonely? Well, we've got exactly what you need here, folks. We got your New Year's mannequins. Mannequins that look like your next girlfriend, hell. We've even got jolly old St. Nick stopping by. So come on down to Mannequins Plus, where our motto has always been, if you've got the attic space, we've got the mannequins. The story on the television says that Dr. Reed knocked a guy unconscious, stole his car and briefcase, and left him in the hospital. Clearly, she's got a few skeletons in the old closet, but before you can really consider them, Jennifer decides to chat you up for a minute. She apologizes for her rudeness earlier, and just asked us to respect that her things are hers. Acquiescent to this understandable request, we jack the batteries from a remote and run. So now, the heroine of this story. Who was that again? Regardless, we take the batteries to power up an electric ladder and grab an oil can. Then we head to a fake fireplace that Mr. Felton built to hide something away. That something being Celeste's old room, where apparently he trained her in the secret art of extreme vanity, because there are mirrors on every wall up in here. Doing a little exploring, we find a tape recorder. It tells Reed that after Celeste returned from running away, her father locked her in her house and would only refer to her as Jennifer. Her mother was still normal, but her father was becoming more unhinged by the day. At night, she could hear him wandering the halls, spouting insane rhetoric, a situation we have absolutely no experience with. Celeste eventually decides to run away a second time, hoping to take her mother along for the ride. Then, as the tape ends, we're attacked by the moth-riddled corpse from the other bedroom. Apparently, dead bodies are a bedroom-only kind of thing in this house, and we defeat it by breaking the mirrors in the room. The correlation of why is really quite simple. You completely understand it, and it totally doesn't go over your head. Finding a secret compartment behind the wardrobe, you step in and fall into the sewer. If you thought you were going to get out of this house without a boot full of urine, you've clearly never played a horror game. Despite some may or may not have died deaths thread none, you escape the sewers to find yourself in a wine room. Oh my god, the wine room. This place makes the one in Castle Dimitrescu look like a minibar. It's so insanely expansive, with a maze of racks all stocked with bottles upon bottles of wine. Sure, Felton came from a family of winemakers, but, you know, I just assumed they would have sold a bottle or two at some point. Regardless, it's here that the revelations finally start to sink in. And by sink in, I mean are given to you through full exposition, because these pieces fit together like two corners of a puzzle.
Jennifer, Richard Felton. Split personality?
So, from how I understand it, Felton was born a female based on the birth certificate of Jennifer Richardine Felton. She was raised as a female until her father returned home from Ethiopia, at which point her father started raising her as a boy against her wishes. Felton would then live out his life as Richard, but in the recesses of his mind would feel himself to be a fraud. Eventually, in his loveless arranged marriage, they would decide to adopt a daughter to, I guess, keep life spicy? Unfortunately, as she matured into a young woman, Felton would start to have deep pain watching his daughter go through a phase that he was never allowed to. This would manifest not only as a multiple personality type thing where he would begin to dress as a woman, but he would also begin to see others as the embodiment of the woman he could have been. He would basically push Celeste to leave because of his inner turmoil, but she wouldn't stay gone forever, and when she returned, it would affect him even more. Eventually, he would lock both his wife and daughter away as he saw them more and more as this Jennifer, and after Celeste would leave the second time, he would kill his wife seeing her as Jennifer and continue slipping further and further away into madness. And then we showed up. You kind of assumed you were Celeste or Celeste's friend or something, but that doesn't seem to be happening, so let's just keep going. Felton shows up and gives you the runaround again, but you manage to escape and find your way back to the main section of the house. Attempting to take the elevator up to the attic and flee, you instead get trapped and have a little conversation with Gloria, who's just now showing up for her shift. I tell you, my Yelp review on the service here is going to be scathing. She tells you that she wants you to meet her in the infirmary, typical room I'm sure most people have in their house, and once we do, we have a little chat. Seems Gloria knew the situation all along. She wasn't aware that Felton had killed his wife, but to be fair,
We don't choose our cure or our vice, They are the ones that rule. Don't you smoke?
Is the whole reason our character smokes is so that we can have this moral equivalency? I'm just saying, our vice? It seems a little bit more acceptable than his vice. I mean, that's just all I'm saying. Either way, Gloria offers us a drink to calm the old nerves, and we drink it. As if it wasn't obvious at this point, but that was a bad idea, as Gloria reveals herself to be the mysterious red nun that we keep having run-ins with. She approaches us, moths abreast, and we chuck the glass at her. This causes her to disappear for some reason, leaving the robes of the red nun on a mannequin, while Dr. Reed decides she's had enough of this, and decides to hit the gritty. Danced out, you finally leave the room and hobble down the hallway, but unfortunately, Felton's got other plans and knocks you unconscious before dragging you into the dining room. You awaken strapped to a chair, with the only thing to greet you being the mesmerizing tick of the metronome. Well, that and the disgusting visual of Gloria cutting Richard's tongue out of his face. Whew. It's a good thing she's just a nurse, because I don't think that kind of thing's covered in the Hippocratic Oath. She finishes the deed and comes over to you for another pleasant little chat.
Listen to me, bitch!
Gloria tells you that you were her sister, and she loved you, but you betrayed her. You have no idea what she's talking about. Even current day you isn't really sure, but you don't have much time to think about it, as she instructs Richard to take a little gasoline bath and leave room for two. You're content in your sewer suit though, so you free yourself before chucking your smoking lighter at this poor, deranged, tongueless murderer. The occurrence forcing you to wonder. This game has made so much of a point to say don't smoke, but it just saved your life. Maybe, should you take up smoking? These are questions for another time, however, as you awaken in the room that has somehow, miraculously, suffered only very minor fire damage, most of it being confined to Felton. Is it possible that Smokey was wrong about how dangerous these things are? You leave the room and head back to the elevator, but Gloria isn't quite ready to see you go. She grabs you through the bars, so you stab her in the face with a syringe full of drugs that you stole from the infirmary. Arriving in the attic, it would appear that you're home free, but not before Gloria decides to make her final stand. Unfortunately for her, the drugs have made her eyes extremely sensitive to the light, but so long as she waits it out, I'm sure she'll be back to normal. Now, Gloria, I don't want to say that you jumped the gun here, because you freaking pole vaulted it. Jesus Christ, man. Somehow Gloria's 5D chess move manages to fail, as she's so enraged that Reed opens a window, she just lunges at it. Well, yeah, if nothing else, that was an unexpected way to take the villains out, I will grant you that. Luckily, we're only 3 or 4 stories up, so Gloria managed to survive that fall. If I had to guess, her x-ray probably looking a little bit something like this afterwards. And so, with her death inevitable, she finally decides to spill the beans on what exactly's been going on around here. And yes, as you probably could have guessed, this has all been a story about a prescription drug called phenoxyl or something. What the actual hell? Like, sure, they mentioned drugs that Felton was taking at different times, and there was some talk about it in the infirmary, but not in a million years was I expecting the wrap-up to sound like this.
Phenoxyl was created as an antipsychotic drug for war veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
The question of how these two know each other is also brought up. It would seem that Gloria was a member of a certain religious sect of 13 women who were known as the Red Nuns. At some point in time, Reed was going to join this sect or something, but instead she decided to burn it to the ground, killing all the nuns except for Gloria. It's all very confusing, capped off by an explanation of,
But you left us there to die.
I don't know. I don't remember.
And with that, Gloria dies. Reed goes back into the house and finds Celeste's old luggage, and we catch back up with Madame Svenska, who, I think is Reed modern day? I don't know. If she is, she's just admitted to a lot of questionable behaviors. So, Mrs. Svenska, you say you broke into Mr. Felton's house, killed him and his maid, and then stole something.
Oh yes, murdered them up nice.
Just one more question. Surely you fabricated the smoking part though, right? You put the controller down. Waves of questions and uncertainties wash over you as you reflect on what you just experienced. Why didn't Reed recognize Gloria when we first showed up? How did we have those hallucinations in Celeste's room? If Felton was a biological woman, should I be more or less offended by him shaking his bare ass all over my screen? So many unanswered questions, but luckily, you've already bought the sequel, and this game was only 2 or 3 hours long, so you may as well boot that one up as well. But first, a nice Spyro flavored G Fuel.